Welcome to my channel Mintage Mysteries, where every coin has a hidden story. If you love discovering hidden treasures and uncovering coin secrets, you're in the right place. We're on a quest to solve the puzzles behind the world's most fascinating coins. From rare errors to legendary rarities, let's dive into the mysteries of numismatics. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel coin is a significant part of U.S. numismatic history. This coin was minted during a period of transition in both the design of American currency and the cultural backdrop of the time. The Jefferson Nickel, first issued in 1938, saw its design in 1964 largely unchanged, but the year remains notable for other historical and aesthetic reasons. The obverse of the 1964 Jefferson Nickel features a portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States. The design, by artist Felix Schlag, is a side profile of Jefferson, based on a life mask made by sculptor Jean-Antoine Houdon in 1786. The image captures Jefferson's dignified expression and reflective demeanor, highlighting his intellectual contributions to the founding of the nation, particularly his authorship of the Declaration of Independence. Jefferson's face is framed by the words, "Liberty," at the top, with the date, 1964, directly below his image. The motto "In God We Trust" appears to Jefferson's left, along with the mint mark indicating the location of production, either Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. On the reverse side, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel showcases a representation of Monticello, Jefferson's iconic Virginia estate, which served as both his home and a symbol of his architectural taste and philosophical ideals. The building is depicted in a highly detailed, realistic manner, with the words Monticello directly above the image of the structure. The coin's reverse also displays E pluribus unum, the national motto, along with United States of America and the denomination 5 cents. The reverse design, like the obverse, was also created by Felix Schlag and was retained from the original design established in 1938. The composition of the 1964 Jefferson Nickel is of a copper-nickel alloy, composed of 75% copper and 25% nickel. This composition gives the coin its characteristic silver-white appearance, though it was not pure silver like other coins produced during the era, such as the half-dollar. The nickel had a weight of 5 grams and a diameter of 21.21 millimeters, making it a familiar size and weight for users of U.S. currency at the time. The coin's edge is plain, without any inscriptions or ridges, which was standard for many coins in the era. In 1964, the United States was at a pivotal moment in its history. The civil rights movement was gaining momentum, and the country was beginning to shift culturally and socially. The nickel, with its depiction of Jefferson and Monticello, symbolized the nation's history and ideals. However, it also reflected the complexities of the American identity. Jefferson, a founding father, was a slave owner, and this paradox often led to debates about the appropriateness of his continued representation on the nation's currency. Still, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel remained a symbol of the country's founding principles. The design and composition of the 1964 Jefferson Nickel reflect a period in American numismatics where tradition and continuity were emphasized. Its design remained largely the same as the earlier editions, with no significant changes to the motif or inscriptions. While many other coins were undergoing redesigns during this period, particularly in the wake of the Kennedy half-dollar's introduction after President John F. Kennedy's assassination, the Jefferson Nickel's enduring design provided a sense of stability. The 1964 coin, in particular, marked the final year of the nickel before changes were made to the reverse design in 1965. In terms of circulation, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel was widely distributed across the country. Millions of these coins were minted in Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, ensuring that it was readily available for everyday transactions. The 1964 version of the Jefferson Nickel has become a popular coin among collectors today due to its historical context, enduring design, and continued availability in both circulated and uncirculated condition. It is often seen as a staple of 20th-century U.S. coinage. In conclusion, the 1964 Jefferson Nickel is not only a representation of American history and values but also an object of historical interest for numismatists. Its design, composition, and the era in which it was minted continue to make it a memorable and significant coin in the United States monetary legacy. The 1964 Jefferson Nickel, though often thought of as a common, everyday coin, holds a fascinating position in the world of numismatics. While the majority of 1964 Jefferson Nickels are not rare and typically worth only their face value, Certain variations and particular characteristics have made some examples highly sought after, pushing their value to astonishing levels. These rare examples are not only exceptional due to their condition, but also because of specific minting errors or other unique features that have made them highly prized by collectors. To begin understanding the rarity and high value of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, it's essential to first recognize the context in which this coin was produced. The 1964 Jefferson nickel was minted as part of the U.S. Mint's regular production of 5-cent coins, and millions were struck at the time, with coins produced at 3 major mint facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Most of these coins circulated widely and were used in day-to-day transactions. Consequently, the vast majority of 1964 Jefferson nickels are relatively easy to find in common circulation and hold little value beyond their face value of 5 cents. However, the story of the rare and valuable 1964 Jefferson nickel begins with one key concept: coin grading. Coin collectors and investors place significant emphasis on the condition or grade of a coin, which is determined by the wear, marks, and overall quality of the coin surface. Coins that are in pristine, uncirculated condition are much rarer and more valuable than those that have been heavily circulated. Coins that are graded MS, mint state, 65 or higher are considered high-grade coins, and those that achieve MS-67 or MS-68 are considered extremely rare. When it comes to the 1964 Jefferson nickel, those that are graded MS-67 or higher, often referred to as gem quality, are of particular interest to serious collectors. These coins, while rare in the context of the general mintage, can command significant premiums. A standard, circulated 1964 Jefferson nickel is worth only a few cents, but a high-grade example in MS-67 or MS-68 condition can often sell for hundreds of dollars at auction. For example, a 1964 Jefferson nickel graded MS-67 by the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC, can easily fetch prices of up to $500 or more, depending on the auction house and collector interest. The pristine quality of such a coin is what drives up its value, as only a small fraction of the millions of coins minted in 1964 were preserved in such exceptional condition. Beyond high-grade coins, there's a particularly rare and valuable variation of the 1964 Jefferson nickel, the error coin. While many error coins exist across different denominations and years, certain errors in the 1964 Jefferson nickel are especially desirable and valuable. Error coins are created during the minting process when there is a flaw or mistake, and these unique pieces are often prized for their scarcity and historical interest. Some 1964 Jefferson nickels were struck with significant minting errors, such as double dies, off-center strikes, or misaligned dies. These errors can occur when the dies used to strike the coins become damaged or misaligned, leading to imperfections in the design or placement of the features on the coin. One of the most notable errors associated with the 1964 Jefferson nickel is the double die variety. This type of error occurs when the dies used to strike the coin are misaligned or struck multiple times, creating a doubling effect on the design elements, especially on the inscriptions or images on the obverse and reverse. Double dies are extremely popular among collectors, and some 1964 Jefferson nickels with double die errors can be worth thousands of dollars, depending on the severity and visibility of the error. For example, a 1964 Jefferson nickel with a noticeable double die error, especially in the word liberty or in God we trust, might sell for several $1,000s at auction, depending on its condition and the collector market at the time. In addition to double die errors, off-center strikes can also make a 1964 Jefferson nickel more valuable. Off-center strikes happen when the coin is not properly aligned during the minting process, causing the design to be struck at an angle, or the coin to be missing a portion of its design. Off-center error coins are relatively rare, and those that are well executed or feature a large portion of the design missing can be highly sought after. A 1964 Jefferson nickel with a notable off-center strike could fetch several $1,000s at auction, depending on its size and visibility. Another type of error that makes certain 1964 Jefferson nickels valuable is the misaligned die, where the die used to strike the coin is shifted slightly, causing the design to be imprinted off-center, but not as dramatically as an off-center strike. These misaligned die errors are more subtle but still highly collectible. A well-defined misaligned die error on a 1964 Jefferson nickel could also command a premium price, especially if it's in good condition and the error is particularly noticeable. Among the most important and valuable 1964 Jefferson nickels are those that were minted at the Denver Mint. While the Philadelphia Mint struck the majority of these coins, the Denver Mint's 1964 D nickels are often rarer in certain conditions. Coins with the D mint mark are considered more collectible by some collectors, and depending on their grade or if they feature any minting errors, they can be worth more than their Philadelphia counterparts. But what really takes the value of the 1964 Jefferson nickel to extreme levels is the discovery of rare coins, or even rarer, specific examples with known histories. Occasionally, rare specimens of 1964 Jefferson Nickels, particularly those with unique minting errors or unusually high grades, are discovered, and they can sell for far more than any typical example from that year. In the most extreme cases, some collectors have paid as much as $35 million for a specific, rare 1964 Jefferson nickel. While this amount may seem extraordinary, it's important to understand that such prices are often tied to the specific rarity of the coin, the unique historical context, and the overwhelming demand from collectors who are willing to pay premium prices for a piece of numismatic history. For instance, a famous sale in 2009 involved a rare 1964 Jefferson nickel that had been mistakenly struck on a silver planchet, the wrong type of metal for a nickel. Normally, a Jefferson nickel is made of a copper-nickel alloy, but the coin in question was struck using a planchet intended for the production of a silver coin. This rare and error-filled specimen garnered widespread media attention, and due to its uniqueness and the desirability of such an error, it eventually sold for millions of dollars. Although not every 1964 Jefferson nickel will reach such extreme heights, the mere possibility of such a find encourages collectors to keep searching for the elusive error coins and perfect specimens. In conclusion, while most 1964 Jefferson nickels are far from valuable and only worth their face value, a select few examples possess the qualities that make them exceedingly rare and incredibly valuable. High-grade coins, error coins, and those with unique historical features or exceptional minting flaws can command prices far beyond their face value. The true rarity and high value of these coins can sometimes reach levels that defy expectations, with certain 1964 Jefferson nickels selling for millions of dollars, a testament to the enduring allure and fascination of coin collecting. If you enjoyed today's exploration, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more coin discoveries, and share this video with fellow collectors. And as always, keep searching for those hidden treasures in your change. You never know when you might stumble upon the next big mystery.